You good, Jeff?
Yeah.
Cory, you good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Network Infrastructure for Dummies, a.k.a. What It Do.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Not That John Blaze, a.k.a. John Blasé. Fuck, man. Not the John Blaze, but it is the John Blasé.
Yeah.
Yo, what up? It's Cory Townes, aka I only come to the Upper East Side.
First of all, you would never go to the Upper East Side.
Oh, West Side. That's how you know I don't frequent these parts of town, man.
Yeah, it's your third favorite podcast to waste time with Itsthereal. Cory, what's happening?
What's up, y'all?
Everything is good, yo. First of all, thanks for coming through. We
Thank y'all for
appreciate
having
you.
me.
Of course.
Upper West Side, not
Upper West Side. My bad. Listen, no, first off, let me tell y'all something, man.
Talk about it.
Rich. I look around and it's rich. Like the apartment rich. Like you guys have found a way to have the type of light bulbs, this yellow light, but it reflects off of all the white in the apartment. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Seems like a pun.
Still seems very like it's crazy in here. I'm very happy for
Rich
you guys,
forever.
man. Rich forever. It's art on the walls. You guys have the war for late night.
See, this is
fucking crazy in
this
here.
is Cory speaking from experience being at our old apartment,
Which I loved.
Thank you.
Y'all talk shit on. I like the old apartment.
it was
No,
not
that was
this.
like that was very small.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people in a very small apartment.
Every time you do that, you still do it with the hands. It's very small.
It's very small, very compact.
When like the Migos came over, or when like the Locks came over, and like there's lots of people in the apartment and everyone's standing around. Not great.
How many? Okay, wait. I do remember y'all put that. How many people came with the Migos?
It was like 20 to 30.
Yeah, it looked like the All-Star game. Yeah.
I wasn't like taking attendance, but it was in that crib exactly. Here we could actually fit people.
Did they tell you that many people was coming?
No.
So
What?
like, okay,
We were still cooking for people.
Yeah.
Wait, y'all cook for people? I ain't get cooked for.
No.
First of all, you were there in the beginning. We cooked for. Well, I mean, we made something for Bridget Kelly.
Yeah. This is
when
true.
you shared that episode.
Oh,
with her.
okay. So
Yeah,
I was,
so this
because
is
I was the lower tier of that.
technically-
episode, I didn't get the food. Okay,
This is Cory's third time on the podcast because you were
2.5.
you were there. You were there for.
I was in the background for Mouses.
You were in the background of Mouses, and you were also there for the Bridget Kelly episode.
Yeah.
But now you get your own episode.
Get my own episode.
And
man.
I want to start off with this because I have a question, because our guy Tommy, our photographer, had just sent this GIF on our group chat starring R. Kelly in it, and I was like, this is not allowed. Like we've canceled this GIF. Jeff and I went to our friend Marsha's birthday. She had a karaoke birthday party, and I said to Jeff, I was like, would this be bad if we just pulled out some R. Kelly song? Is that canceled too?
Absolutely.
And then when it comes up, I just point to someone else and blame them. Like,
they did that.
I don't know who picked this. Yeah. Would you? Is it still okay to sing or not?
No, it's
you can't listen to it.
Like it's funny. It's one of those things.
You're a DJ. You can't play it.
Fuck no. I would never play any R. Kelly. Like, no. Like it's.
Would you sing "Step in the Name of Love"?
So I know one thing that happens. Kind of like in my crib, somewhat often, is that like somehow like if it's me and like my roommates and we'll like somebody will just start like humming something or a melody and not know where it's from or not know where it came from, and it's like you realize it's Robert, and you're just like, fuck, I can't sing that shit no more. Like, and you just be like somehow I'm the world's greatest, and you'd be like, what the fucking damn.
Yeah.
And you just can't, like, it's a dub, man. Like
even Download's a great karaoke song.
So my shit with R.
Contagious.
Kelly.
Great.
Contagious is like a Broadway show.
What I will say is this. I think Contagious might be one of the only R. Kelly records that still kind of gets played, only because of the dramatics of that last verse with Mr. Big and.
But is it it's technically like an Isley Brothers song?
Yeah.
Right?
So it's not even like an R. Kelly song.
So we can get away with it.
I still hear that out. Like I've heard that out in the last maybe like 2 or so years. Yeah, like, what the hell is going on? She's up in my home.
The craziest thing is that R. Kelly's been bad for years, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's not just like the last 2 years. It's just like since.
So what I always like, because I remember the point where a lot more people were still kind of like caping for him in a sense, like, oh man, we don't know, and da da da.
Yeah.
And I looked at it like this. I'm just like, I could see it if R. Kelly's crimes or alleged crimes back then was robbing a bank, was credit card fraud, was killing someone even. Like, if it's something that, you know, is like, okay, like you can kind of try and separate the music from the crime.
Right.
Like, bro, I can't listen to my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes, and not wonder who was the inspiration for that record.
Sure.
Like at that point, I'm just like, oh yeah, no, fuck him. Like it's over. Like, you know, someone even asked a question the other day in my house, was like, yo, if none of this had ever happened, would R. Kelly be the greatest? I want to make sure I say it right. I want to say maybe songwriter, or not songwriter, the greatest like R&B talent ever. And we're like, probably so, yeah. Because now, if you think about it, you know, I don't really remember when R. Kelly stopped making popular music like people thought was popular.
Right.
But if none of this ever happened, you're looking at least another maybe 5-6 years of his career of potential hits. So it's like, yeah, absolutely he'd be that. But I mean, fuck him.
But also like the Michael stuff.
Yeah, right. Mike, Woody Allen, Harvey Weinstein.
It's interesting to see how and where people move goalposts in that way. Because, you know, you do get, and that's something that I've learned kind of even with DJing. I remember I DJ'd a place at the end of last year. It was for a homie's birthday. And the venue, and it was something I've never seen before. The venue, like, once he kind of told the venue, like, yo, it's going to be me and my two homies DJing for us. These are the guys. So when they sent out their, like, you know, invoice forms for payment, they also sent like a DJ like kind of like kit or like a DJ one sheeter. And I remember he sent it to us and I was like, bro, I ain't never like seen this before. And it basically was like, a lot of it was stupid. Like, if someone comes up to you for a request, don't be a dick. And we're like, man, fuck that. Like,
wait, these are like studio rules?
It was like rules. Like, if you're going to DJ at our venue, here's the rules. Mm-hmm. And on the last page, it said, here's music you can't play. R. Kelly music, Michael Jackson, I want to say Katy Perry.
What did Katy do?
Yo, like, it was to the point.
Does this go straight to the top?
Yo, it was like, I swear, it was R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, Katy Perry. I want to say Miley Cyrus, and in the Miley Cyrus it said
she knows what she did.
even in Miley Cyrus it was like and the DJing song was on. Like, you can't play that. Like, whatever that song was, like,
Party in the USA.
Yeah, like and Party in the USA. And I just remember, like, the three of us were talking through text, and we were just like, dog, like, I remember asking them, like, yo, have y'all ever, like, gotten one of these before? And they was like, no. And I was like, I kind of respect it, but, like, I kind of don't. And what ended up happening is that night, I think it wasn't during my set. I think it was during my man Ant Blue set. He played a gospel record. I forgot what it was. It wasn't Melodies from Heaven. But he played something. And one of the bartenders thought it was R. Kelly. This kind of shows where the place was. Like, temperament with the place was. Like, it was very white leaning, but like, we want black culture in here type shit. And one of the bartenders, a white bartender, thought he heard R. Kelly, because apparently gospel sounds like R. Kelly, and told the manager. So the manager apparently comes up to Blue and he's like, yeah, you know, I like what you're doing, man, but like, and give him like the tap on the arm as he's doing it. I like what you're doing, man, but you know, like, don't play, you know, you can't play no R. Kelly in here. And if anybody knows Ant, he's like, the fuck? Like, the fuck are you talking about? And like, he brought it to, you know, the two of us. And we were just like, oh yeah, man, like, fuck this place, man. Like, you know, if you can't, like, and the funny thing is that when like they came back up to us and like at the end of the night, he was like, yo, you guys killed it, man. We want to have you guys back. You know, I know that little snafu earlier. And we was like, yo, there wasn't no fucking snafu, dog. Like, we don't play that shit. Like, not only do we not play it as DJs have morals, but like, if y'all told us that, we respect what y'all wishes are, we didn't play that shit neither.
Right.
And they were just like, oh man, like, well, I'm gonna talk to him. And the one black bartender that was back there, he was like, we know you didn't play no fucking R. Kelly. Like, so when the manager came around and asked, like, did you guys hear it? They were like, no. This is fucking stupid. Fuck R. Kelly.
All right, let's go back to the very
man.
To the very beginning. I think everybody in the world knows where you're originally from, but where are you originally from?
I'm born and raised in Southwest Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been living in Brooklyn, New York for now. This will make 7 years.
Yeah. When you get to 10, I think that makes you a real New Yorker.
Yeah, they give you sweatpants.
Do you have to?
Are they Tex?
Yeah.
They gotta be the Tex with the good zipper.
But Philly
Philly.
Yo, what's the most Philly thing? Like, not popular. I'm just talking like real, like Philadelphians really fuck with. Not like cheesesteaks, not like Citizens Bank Park. Just something like if you go to Philly, you're just like that's.
This feels like a BuzzFeed post.
Yeah.
You might be from Philly if.
What's something that? And you know, it's funny. Me being up here 7 years, Philly has grown and changed a lot in these 7 years.
Like, do you think it's like because you left?
Yeah, pretty much.
You were holding it back?
Like, oh yeah, I held the city back. 100%. No, man, like Philly started to become a destination for millennials in the sense of, you know, if I can move to a major city but not pay New York prices, I'm moving to Philly.
And it's close enough to New York that you can like, you know,
close
dip
enough to New York to dip in and out. Like it became a place where, you know, it's weird. Like I remember when like the first couple of years of me like just going back home and meeting transplants, you never saw that shit. Like if you moved to Philly, like you moved to Philly because, you know, like your partner moved you there, your partner's from Philly or shit like that. So I remember like, oh yeah, I'm from New York, or I'm from Georgia, or I'm from Pittsburgh. You like, what the fuck are you doing here? or you went to school at like Temple or UPenn or Drexel or something like that, and you just never left.
Yeah.
But no, to answer your question, something that is very Philly that like people know to like really fuck with. Off the top of my head, I would probably say water ice. I think water ice is a something that is very Philadelphia and probably like South Jersey. Because South Jersey swears it's fucking Philadelphia.
Is that Italian ice?
Yeah, but it's different. Like water ice, in theory, it's Italian ices. I know the wild shit is that you guys had a Rita's near here.
We did, yeah.
Rita's is like Rita's is water ice. Like just the consistency of it is a lot smoother than what?
No.
And Rita's was fire. Well, Rita's was fire.
I'm gonna be honest. I was glad when it went away.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yo, I was talking.
Like you and Loki are like the only people that I know that like fuck with that.
Rita's hits
like,
on a summer day.
No thanks.
Like I was talking to my roommate. I was talking to Chris, and you know he's from Philly too. And I mentioned like the Rita's up here, and he was like, "Oh yeah, they closed that shit down, my boy." And I was like, "What? Fuck you, who's Rita's?" But like, it's like
no, there's a no-fly zone up here for Rita's.
Oh shit,
yeah, it doesn't.
The Italian ice is the guy with the water ice. The fuck out of here, man. But no, like you know, I mean, it's you know they would have like actual like fruit and shit in it. So the mango water ice would have mango.
Oh, so it was healthy.
Fuck no. But it's yeah, like it's water ice is fire. Like you know, and they have like actual like hood water ice spots. It's like Joe's, Maroney's in like West Philly. Yeah, so like water ice off the top of my head.
What's the difference between West Philly and Southwest Philly?
Cobb's Creek Parkway. Okay, so so the question is, what's the difference between West Philly, Southwest, and South Philly?
Yeah.
I think West Philly and Southwest are somewhat alike, especially as far as like people. Southwest Philly gets a very bad rap. Like people always kind of shit on Southwest and say like it's wild down there and it's like it's shitty and dirty, but fuck y'all. And like West Philadelphia, you know, just because of history and just because of you know, everybody who's from there, you know, just always has a very positive rap. Like, you know, West Philly's it's a cool, I want to say it's a cool part of town, but like West is West and West is cool. And people from West and Southwest are like pretty similar. South Philly, okay.
Chill.
I didn't go to South Philly unless I had homies from South Philly. Because South Philly is just a notoriously like, I mean, and there's so many different like cultural backgrounds that make up South Philly. Like South Philly was very heavy on like, you know, like a lot of Italians live down South Philly. So like anyone that ever comes to Philly and you get the cheesesteaks and stuff like that, the gentrified shits, the Pats. And I feel bad because Pats used to be John Blaze, but Pats is not John Blaze
now
anymore.
It's John Blasé.
Yeah.
Now, it really is. Geno's is fuck Geno's because Geno's has always been racist and Geno's never like, Geno's is not like black people in a sense.
Ishkabibbles
is so I was raised off Ishkabibbles. Like my dad, you know, if you've ever been to Philly, you know South Street, you know, at one point in time, it probably still is. It's like art was like one of our main strips of just like activities. Mad stores, mad restaurants. There's a Fat Tuesdays down there, which I didn't start taking advantage of until like maybe like 3 years ago. Not really understanding how crazy the fucking drinks are. It's a spot called Copa's that I would definitely recommend for you guys. It's like a Mexican restaurant, but the margaritas there are chef's kiss. But no, so like my dad used to live maybe about literally 5 minutes away from South Street. He used to live on Delaware Avenue. So like if you're ever in that area and you're driving on Delaware Avenue, you see like a Dave and Buster's, you see like the Schuylkill River, the Ben Franklin Bridge, and everything like that. My dad used to live off the water. So for me, whenever I would like go and kick it with him, we would always go to Ishkabibble's. So, you know, I was always good with, you know, the cheesesteaks or the chicken cheesesteaks. The Gremlin, which is like anybody that goes to Philly and like, oh, Cory, what do I need to do? I just tell them go get a Gremlin. And they're like, what the fuck is a Gremlin? And I'm like,
I thought it was a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, damn near it takes you on a roller coaster ride.
Okay.
Like I remember Raven. So I remember we went, did you guys go to that Meek Mill concert? Like way back, like 4 or 5 years ago?
In Philly?
No,
I don't think so.
We were invited, but we didn't go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
big time. Big time.
We had other things to do.
Big time. We had other things to do. I had to do my fucking laundry.
Yeah.
No, so I remember, I want to say Rock Nation put it on. I might be wrong. But I remember Rock Nation had bust down a couple, maybe like 20 writers and shit from up here. Put us on a bus to when Meek had his like celebratory concert.
I remember this.
For real. And it's funny that concert essentially started the Meek and Drake beef because Drake was supposed to come. I think it was some sort of miscommunication in which Drake was supposed to. Yeah, he was supposed to be on the bus. He was supposed to sit next to me.
He was supposed to drive the bus.
Yeah, he fucked up.
Yeah.
But no, Drake was supposed to come. Like it was like a Meek and Friends type deal.
Right.
And Drake was supposed to show up, and it was some miscommunication, and Drake didn't show up, and that's kind of what started all that shit.
Yeah.
But I remember on the ride, like they took us to Ishkabibble's, and me and Chris, my roommate, you know, back at that time we were like really writing and like music writers and stuff like that. And we basically took this entire group of New Yorkers, and everybody kind of looked at us like, all right, y'all from Philly, so what do we do? And we were just like, yo, just get the cheesesteak, get the Gremlin, you be good. Raven fucking loves the Gremlin. Like, she loves that shit. Like, to the point, and like she'll hold a special place in my heart for this shit. Like, I got sick. I broke my leg and got sick like 3 years ago.
I remember this.
And I was in the hospital, and she came to see me. And she basically brought the ingredients of how to make a Gremlin to me in the hospital. And I'll never forget that shit.
That's awesome.
But yeah, man, like, you know, Ishkabibble's is kind of like my number one. I mean, and, you know, the funny thing is that as Philly's might be one of the best and one of the most unheralded food cities in the country. So like as different cultures kind of move in and different, you know, just different people, you see kind of the food kind of like grow. Philly has a very big Islamic community, and it always has, at least definitely for my generation. You know, came naturally. You know, some can also, you know, attribute it to like, you know, a lot of people, you know, back in like the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, going to jail, coming back, you know, after, you know, converting to Islam and stuff like that. So, you know, everybody's not eating, you know, unclean meat or non-halal meat or stuff like that. So you like in like the uptown part of our city, they have spots that make like seafood cheesesteaks or salmon cheesesteaks. And that was something new to me that I never had until like I moved up here. Like some of my friends that I've gotten closer with who are from up there, who know some of these spots. It's this place called Mount Airy Deli that has a seafood cheesesteak. It is the most John Blaze shit. No John Blasé. It is the most John Blaze shit. It's like salmon, and like they take like crab meat and like they put shrimp on it. Like, it's fire. And it's to the point like
but there's cheese on top of that?
So they would put
because like I don't know about cheese and
seafood.
Yeah.
It sounds weird.
Right.
So no, it would be, so most spots, that's how you know if a spot is like a real cheesesteak spot. Most spots put the cheese on the bottom. So what they'll do is that they'll have like the meat cooking on the grill. They'll put the cheese on top of it.
This feels like a very small distinction.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
cheese
like,
on top of the seafood and cheese below the seafood.
Well, I mean, more so just like, I guess, cheesesteak in a sense, etiquette in a way. Like they'll put the cheese on the meat on the grill. The cheese will melt, and then the way they scoop it is that they scoop it from the bottom and place it cheese side down in the bun. Mm-hmm. I think with that spot they do like not horseradish. What's like the spicy cheese? Pepper jack.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hits. I know it sounds weird. Like I would advocate for it. I'll put a stamp on it. Like I remember I had like a food show that I was trying to get them on a couple years ago, and like, you know, they're a little stuck in their older ways. So I called them telling them like, hey, you know, I'm such and such. You know, I'm from Philly. You know, I have
do you know
a
who
food
the
show.
fuck I am?
They were like, what? We don't do none of that shit, and hung up on me. And I was just like, okay, you know.
Here's a little amateur question.
Yeah.
If you put the cheese below the meat and you flip the sandwich upside down.
That is what she said?
No, it's...
Put it in post.
Yeah. All right. What was growing up in Philly like?
Amazing. You know, it's one of those places for me, and like coming up in the late 90s, early 2000s, and all through the 2000s, like growing up and being outside in Philly, I think gave me and a lot of my peers and people who kind of came up in that time a great sense of street awareness at that end of the scale, but also just allowed you to have like fun. Like growing up in Philly was fun as shit. Like I you know, like through high school and stuff like that, you know, I worked in this spot called the Gallery. It was it's basically like a mall that we had that was kind of connected to like a big train station in the middle of the city or whatever. And I worked in this sneaker store called Ubik, which is I didn't know at the time was like one of the top sneaker boutiques in the world. So like, you know, I always had like a cool job and shit.
Were you a salesman?
Yeah, I was a salesman.
Were you good?
I was nice. And it's funny, like when I think back to like we always talk about like, yo, they should do a fucking documentary on just Ubik and like Ubik at that point, because all the people that work there, like, you know, I work there. My man Gianni Lee, who's an incredible, you know, visual artist now, like me and him, you know, were best friends for well over 15 years. He worked there. That's where we met. My man Jimmy Gorecki, who was a big time skateboarder.
Yeah.
Jimmy was like my like,
and makes his own shoes and
sweatpants, JSP and all that. Like Jimmy Gorecki worked there. Like it was crazy. And you know, there was two galleries. There was one there was two Ubics. There was one in the actual gallery, and they moved to Walnut Street, which is kind of like our bigger, more premier, more nicer like shopping district. And you know, Ubik was the start of really like what streetwear and sneaker culture was in the city. There was other spots, but Ubik has kind of always maintained that kind of longevity and is still like rocking.
Yeah. Was that your first job?
My first job was working at a place called Kingpin near Broad and Olney. It was a sneaker store. It was dope. It was, you know, this is back when like Rockaware and State Property clothes was like big. So like I remember like in Broad and Olney was a very popping like transportation depot in that part in northern part of the city. So like high school wise and stuff like that, like you would go from Broad and Olney and like scatter to wherever you lived. So it was always something happening. There was always people up there. There's always girls there. There's always fights there. But even I remember like back then, that's when like, you know, State Prop was like big. So like you would get Chris Sneef and all those guys coming in the Kingpin, you know, commission checks to be crazy. They will always ask for a fresh pair of Butters, which is Tim's. You know, the jeans and shit like that. Like it was dope.
Were you wearing all State Property stuff?
Absolutely, man. All like
huge sizes.
I feel bad, man. Like, yo, I went to a thrift store in Bushwick like 3 years ago, and I found a State Property jacket in there, and I was about to buy it. When I tell you that shit, it was a 2X.
Yeah.
I can get away with wearing a 2X jacket. That shit was the biggest 2X. Like the sizing scale was completely off.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't fit that shit and just make that shit look good. But like it was dope. Like, you know, like I remember everybody used to make fun of like, you know, like the State Property used to have the little stash pockets and shit.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
That's when New Balance 575s or 574s was like popping and stuff. Dickie suits of like, you know, the Dickie shirt and pant top and bottoms. Like growing up in Philly back in like the early 2000s was like the shit.
Did your parents ever like question your fashion, like, you know, sense? Were they like, yo, like...
Question it? No.
Trim it down.
No, not at all. And the funny thing is, I think, you know, because I have young parents, you know, my mom was 19 when she had me. My dad was 22. And so I have cool parents. Like, like my parents like my dogs now, essentially. Like, you know, just I can say something to them culturally specific and they just completely understand. But like, I remember, so my dad was and is, but obviously he's toned down, really big into sneakers. And I was stupid and I was a kid. So for some reason, I thought that my feet were growing at like a crazy pace. At one point, I thought I wore a size 13. Do not fucking ask.
What is your actual size?
I wear a size like 11. Back then, I might have been like a 10, 10 and a half. I might have been like maybe 15, 16. So, you know, it was a classic case of like, yo, you don't wear a 13, dude. Like, I know you don't. And I'm like, I do. Like, I'm literally like with my own money buying size 13 shoes. I have no fucking idea. So my dad, you know, he's big into sneaks. One one day he came, he's like, I got something for you. And he had a size 13 Jordan 12, if I'm not mistaken. But they were Derek Anderson player exclusives. And like these shits was fire. Like fire. I was like, oh, these just clean. Like I was like, you know, for me it was a thing where it was like, yo, I know no one's gonna have these.
Yeah.
I put them shits on, them bitches was boats. And like he looked at me with a like almost like stupid. I told you didn't wear the size. So I mean, if not for nothing else, like my parents definitely like kind of like guided me in certain ways of like, you know, just like fashion and stuff like that. Like I remember you know, with him being big into sneakers, my dad brought me a pair of Bapes. I was like I was my junior year of high school. Wow. So this is 2004.
Wow.
Early.
Like, you know, for him, he would always go to Japan and always go to Hong Kong. And, like, he would know the guys that, like, are really big in the scene out there and, like, would just come home with mad shoes.
Yeah,
like,
give me all the size 13s. Yeah, let's go.
Like, yo, damn near. And it's funny, too, because, like even looking back on it, like, his shoe game was so crazy because he would also go to, like, the UK. And, like, when they would get sneakers 6 months in advance back then. Was like JD Sports. Like he would know like get all the exclusives there. He used to get all the Air Force Ones with the jewel check and shit. Like he like had the flavors. So I remember he bought me these Bapes and he was like, yo, like I just want you to know these are probably some of the most exclusive shoes out. And they were orange and white and they were patent leather. And he brought me he gave me those and he gave me the Mesquite Air Force Ones, which hadn't touched the streets yet. And like I don't even know if they were officially known as the Mesquines, but like Mesquite was a Philly brand that did like, if you remember back in like the early 2000s, like all the rappers had like t-shirts with mad like damn near Picasso paint drawings and showing it. That was Mesquite.
Yeah.
So like if you the fucking man.
Yeah.
Just with the Mesquite drawings alone. I remember I wore those Bapes in school. I got clowned to high heaven.
Yeah, because nobody understood what
no
the
one
fuck
knew
you were
what
wearing.
the fuck they were.
Yeah.
They were like, yo, why the fuck did your Air Forces have a star on it and like a cartoon on the back? They teased me like shit. And I remember just being like, yo, I thought this was the John Blaze, dog. Like, what happened? A week later, was not Mr. Me Too. What was the Wayne record that he had all the Wayne video he had all the Bape on? Hustler Music. The Hustler Music video came out. All he has is Bape shit on, Babe the Nape jacket, the Bape sneaks. I wore them joints the next day. And everybody was like, yo, what the fuck? How'd you get them? Da, 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 da. And that really just showed, that was like a very early lesson looking back on it. That was definitely fuck you.
You're cool.
Yeah.
You're cool, dog. Like, yo, you really was just like, yo, what are those? Like, you more so asked me that instead of like talk shit.
Yeah.
But no, that really just told me, yo, like, as far as like fashion and shit like that, like, do what you want, do what you feel. Mm-hmm. Whatever comes around type shit.
Were you super into Mitchell and Ness stuff, or was that like, did Jay like just shut it down?
No, I was.
No more matchy.
I won't even. I mean, I was a kid at the time, so like, yeah, I once the declaration of no more throwbacks or wearing jeans and button ups, I was like, oh well, I guess that's what the fuck we doing, y'all. Like, I remember, my dad was on the road, and when we went to Canada, and it was my first time in Canada for my 17th birthday. And we were in Montreal. We were in Montreal the day of my 17th birthday. And I think you can be 18 and get in the club in Canada. So like, it was the first, you know, for me, it's like the club. So I'm like, oh, I'm in the fucking club. Like, I was with my pops and shit, but I'm like, yeah, I'm the fucking man. I never forget, I had a light blue button-up shirt, way too big. Mm-hmm. I had
or not big enough.
Mm-hmm. I had a light blue pair of Azure denim. I had white on white Air Force Ones, and I had a NBA All-Star Game headband. That was the fit. That was the fit, dog. Like, yo,
this is such a specific time.
Yo, I remember being in Montreal. Like, I laid my shit out on the bed in the hotel and was like, I'm about to fuck them up. I'm fucking them up today. And I went, and like I felt like
you in the club?
Man. I mean, I was with my dad, so of course like they let us in. But I just remember my dad gonna be like, "Look at this motherfucker over here, man! Think he's fucking Jay-Z and shit."
Grown and sexy vibes.
Yo, like I'm thinking, like, yo, that's it, bro. That's what we on now. Like, you ain't get the fucking memo.
Mm-hmm. Just one headband.
Just one. I could never be that nasty and do the double joint. Like, that's nasty work, man. Like, yeah. Anybody that did that, anybody that did like
Tommy.
I think Tommy, you did the doubles. I can see Tommy doing the double headband back in the day. Like it was like I think even back then there was like some sort of like that's like early athleisure. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So. No, I'll allow it. Allow it, fam. I'll allow that. That's quality. Like that was perseverance in that point. But like if you did like okay, like, there are certain rules you could and couldn't do. If you wore like the and it's wild too, man. Like where the fuck were we getting all this money from? Because them jerseys, like the authentic game, like when they used to trade them shits, that shit was real. Like I remember I traded my navy blue, and I wish I still had this fucking jersey, but it's probably too big. I remember I traded my navy blue Dallas Mavericks Michael Finley jersey, authentic, for an authentic white Jason Kidd Nets and a white Cincinnati Bengals Corey Dillon, which is a that was a good deal. Both sides won on the deal. Yeah. Like no cash exceptions. It was it was straight swap. But I do remember like there's certain shit you just couldn't do. Like you couldn't wear like the snap away warm up pants. Yep. Without no like ball shorts underneath. Yeah. Like you can't just be like, that's nasty work. Because if somebody decides to like pants you, you out here drawless. Like that's nasty work. Yeah. The double wristbands was nasty work. Double wristbands was nasty work. Adidas headbands, nasty work. Mm-hmm. Like if you didn't have the Nike joint, like come on, that's wild. Nike or NBA.
Wait, what do you think about these kids now who are wearing like two brands?
Okay, so I think that's the most like offensible crime you could ever fucking do,
and that's why they do.
And that shows me that you don't have. I just want to be clear.
We opened up talking about R. Kelly,
and we're talking about brand allegiance. No, that's like the biggest. That's like one of the biggest faux pas like I can ever like that shows me you don't have no old heads and no one to guide you in life. Like that's one thing that I learned early on, just subconsciously. Like if you have on a Nike something, you better have more Nike something on your feet. Like to the point now where like if I'm going outside. And if I'm wearing like I like a little bit more kind of like not minimalistic shit, but like more simple shit. Like I wear my fucking New Balance 974s, like the most recent drop, like nobody's business. It's the most comfortable shoe. Like I love wearing them when I DJ.
Fresh goods, whatever.
Shout out to my dog Joe for an amazing weekend in Chicago. He killed that shit from what I saw. Mm-hmm. But if I'm wearing my New Balances, like I will go out my way to find socks that are not Nike, like tube socks. Can't do it because and no one will ever see it. Like you're wearing jeans, you wearing pants or something,
but you know in your heart.
If somebody comes up to you and takes your shoes off,
if let's say if I'm going to like a function or like a house party or a kickback or some shit, and they have like a shoes off policy. Now I'm sweating because I'm like, fuck, I'm wearing these Nike socks with my New Balance. I hope no one like, damn, dog.
Nobody connects.
That's how you giving it up.
Those
like,
are your shoes all the way over there.
Yeah, man. It's just that's
when you travel through the airport. Are you a slides guy?
Now I am. Now I am.
You had to grow into that.
I had to grow into it. I can't like if you go to the airport in like a full fit with like a belt and shit, you like
no, you're a
there's
sucker.
There's something really fucking wrong with you.
Right.
Like once I started getting into the point where I started getting like not necessarily expensive but high quality like sweats, like tech fleece and just regular sweatpants and sweatsuits and shit like that. I'm like, fuck that.
Supposed to be comfortable when you fly.
Can I tell y'all what I just got into though? Motherfucking Birkenstocks. Where the fuck was I?
Sorry,
I know you guys are probably the wrong people to ask about fucking Birks. Like you probably were born with a pair of Birks.
First of all, no.
By bedside.
Yeah, don't be rude, but like,
come on,
don't be rude.
Yeah, I know we're white, but no.
Yo, but Birk is like to the point. I used to. Like,
I'm so not into sandals in any form or fashion.
No. Really?
Yeah, no.
You guys might be the first two white men I've ever heard say that. At all? Wait, at all?
No.
At all, yeah.
No.
Never had Birks.
Let me
I never had
something.
sandals.
I did listen to Dave Matthews.
I didn't
wear Birks though.
Damn, that's kind of like going against
you
went against the grain. Like, wait, Dave Matthews, no sandals. Like you pushed against each other.
But if you were to wear sandals, would you wear them with socks?
No.
See that whiteness. The
whiteness
I know.
The
whiteness kicked in. Like it was kind of like it was a moment. It's like, no.
I feel like the whiteness is to wear sandals with socks.
No, white people wear their toes out at any given time.
Sure.
It was 45 degrees, 50 degrees yesterday, and I saw like
you saw some toes.
Oh man, they was ready to wild out. T-shirts, like they use it as an excuse of like, oh, I'm running. No, like it's not that warm outside.
Right.
Like, no. But yo, Birkenstocks, dog. Like, I didn't know. I didn't like.
Were you big into Tevas?
Fuck is that?
That's some real white shit.
That's too meta. That's too meta.
That's some real white shit. All right. So growing up in Philly, it was you. Mm-hmm. Any siblings?
I'm the oldest.
You're
I'm
the oldest
by 10. Well, starting at 10 years. So I have a younger sister. She's 10 years younger than me. I have a younger brother. He is 12 years younger than me, and I have a set of twins, brother and sisters. And they are 22 years younger than me.
So for 10 years, it's
King Cory.
Just you.
It's your boy.
Yeah,
and that was it. Like,
are you good at sharing? Yeah.
I think having those 10 years by myself really like kind of prepped me for having siblings. And then on top of that, it's like, you know, she was a girl, so obviously we didn't need a lot of the same things. And like, man, I just think the age gap is kind of just like, she ain't really cutting into my shine, cutting into
right. There's not that much competition.
Yeah,
and then,
like,
it's almost like you probably like became like sort of like a paternal figure as well, even though like obviously you're not actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I definitely became like the big brother to like all my siblings at a certain point in time, where it's just like oh yeah, like, you know, when you talk to people that have like that big age gap between siblings, it's kind of like, oh yeah, like especially now, like me going to, you know, I went to see my father this past weekend. And saw the twins, and like they're 10 and they're grown and shit now. I'm like, damn, dog. Like, I remember like when like you wouldn't let me hold you and you were just like all over me, and I found myself kind of doing things that like the parents don't do. Like my little brother, if I'm like, yo man, tilt your head up, like walk straight, like like little jab to the chest, little stuff like that. So it's weird, but it's like, because I realize what I'm doing afterwards, but I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool.
Did you grow up? So, okay, obviously your father was very into music. Mm-hmm. DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Jazzy Jeff. Greatest DJ in the world.
Facts.
Greatest DJ in the world.
Did he bring music home, or did he not want to, like, have that be his 24/7?
I think, I mean, my household was always a music household. My mother and my father, relationship-wise, didn't work out when I was fairly young, but they always held it down. I never had... You know, I never saw a tumultuous side of their relationship, even with them not being involved with each other romantically. But I think music was always. My mom was a rapper, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, she was, you know, she was kind of on the come up as far as like, you know, like the scene. Like I remember like there's a 3-year age difference between my mom and my dad. So like I think when they met, she was kind of just starting to pop. Where like my dad was on the cusp of like, I guess like kind of like blowing in a sense.
You were born when?
87.
Okay.
So like I was born, my dad was on tour. My dad told me, he always tells me this shit. He's like, yo, like I got the call that you were born and I was in Cincinnati, and I was like, that's fucked up. Like not necessarily he wasn't there, but Cincinnati of all places.
Shout out to that Corey Dillon jersey though.
Yeah.
Full fucking circle. But no, he told me like he was like, yo, like they called me and they was just like, yeah, you know, you have a son. 10 fingers, 10 toes. He's mad healthy, and like he kind of walked in with like I got a baby boy, man, like, you know, type shit like that. But
so music's always in the household.
Music's always been like, I remember just, you know, like any black household, like Saturday mornings you clean the crib, there's mad music in there.
Mm-hmm. Anita Baker,
Tina Marie.
Yep.
Soul to Soul. I remember mad Soul to Soul in the crib.
Yeah.
Like my mom was really into like that type of like genre of like, I guess that'd be R&B. So like even without my dad's influence in that way, music has always been around. But like from him, he always pressed the issue for me to listen to like other types of music. Like what I will say is growing up in Philly back at that time, and probably any other city during that time, it was a lot of closed-mindedness. You know, black people were only supposed to kind of like black shit. And my dad was definitely not that. Like I remember kind of being in the car with him, you know, riding on 95, picking me up from my house, taking me to his, and like, you know, he would have like house music on, or like he would have like Brazilian like funk music and like shit like that playing in the car. And I remember just not knowing what it was, but I remember being like, yo, this shit sounds ill. And even like when at that point, you know, like in my early teenage years of just like
exploration
of shit. Yeah, like, and I remember there was that intersection of like popular culture at the time where like BET and MTV basically ruled anything we ever did. I remember kind of like not leaning towards MTV, but like I definitely remember just being like, yo, like I know all this shit on BET, I know all the hip hop and rap and R&B and stuff, but like, yo, the shit they got, like, I don't know what this rock and roll shit is, but this shit is fire. Like, I remember the first song that like really, really, really got me on the MTV was Butterfly by I can't remember the name.
Are you talking about Crazy Town?
Yes. I fucking loved that song when I heard that song, and you know what it was, and I realize it now.
I don't know what it was.
No, I realize it now.
Come my lady, come my lady, you're my
butterfly, sugar baby. Like, yo,
come my lady.
I don't know when you guys are dropping this. If you guys hear me play that at a function coming up, this is the reason why, because I don't have that record.
I take no.
Yeah.
Do not put that on me.
What I realized is back during that point, so this is like what, like maybe like 98, 99, alternative music, I guess that would be
20-year cycle. You're saying it's perfect time to come right back?
First of all, it is.
That too.
Yeah.
But like
Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, but like a lot of those groups and a lot of that music interpolated a lot of hip hop elements to it.
Yes.
So I remember with Butterfly, when I first started like listening to it, I was like, okay, I kind of like the melody. There was a point in the bridge where there was a DJ cutting, and I was like,
yeah, but not really.
Yeah.
Not really, but that was enough of that. That was enough.
Yeah.
Like in Limp Bizkit, perfect example. Like you had the Rollin' hip hop remix, you had the Rollin' rock remix. Like even Kid Rock at a certain point in time before he went all Detroit Republic.
MAGA,
right.
You know, like there was it's, I don't know, it seemed like the people who were making the moves in the music industry at the time saw what hip hop was doing.
Yeah.
And tried to find ways to bring that into the music on that side, but that served as a bridge for me to really be into that. So like I was a huge Sum 41 fan. Limp Bizkit.
The Ludacris remix from Sum 41.
Which one? What
I think that was a Green Lantern thing.
No, it wasn't. No, it was an official.
Oh, right,
it was
yeah,
official
yeah.
remix
What
for like
record?
Red Light. Oh, Get Back. Yeah.
I don't even know if I like knew that.
Yeah, Get Back. Yeah. Benjamin's.
Yes,
right.
So like
with
stuff
the rock
like that.
remix.
Yeah. So
that was a bad.
No, I know. I'm just saying it was that time.
It was that time. So like I remember, that might have been my first foray into. You couldn't be around the hood and just be like, oh man, that fucking Butterfly, Crazy Town's fucking kicking, dog. Like, or even Limp Bizkit for that aspect. Like you kind of had to let somebody. My fucking babes. What the fuck was I thinking? Like you kind of had to let somebody find that on their own and be like, hey, this shit ain't that bad.
Yeah.
But that was my first exploration into like quote unquote like white people music. Like, but I remember that was around the time where I first learned about like Daft Punk. And like that otherworldly type of music that I didn't know what the fuck Daft Punk was, but I was like, this shit is hard. Like, and I mean, it kind of like that era of, I guess, me finding music in like the 98, 99s, 2000s then led me into like finding like Pharrell and Chad, Neptunes.
So it's real easy for us in 2020 to look at Cory and say like, oh yeah, no, I see the straight line of you getting into music when you're a kid to now you being one of the most in-demand DJs in New York City.
I appreciate that.
And by the way, we're not the only ones who see that. There's so many people who see that. Shout out to Jinx, by the way, who said that on his podcast.
That's my dog, man.
It's easy to see that line.
Yeah.
But you didn't get into music like that.
No.
So did you try your hand at any of that?
I think
while you were in high school?
No, like for me, I'm not gonna like, so like I always had this thing. I was a typical kid in the sense of like I would try shit, and if it wasn't easy, I wouldn't do it no more. And I remember doing that shit with karate. I swore I was gonna be fucking Chuck Norris's little homie in like Sidekicks 2. Like first of all, Sidekicks 1, awesome, spectacular fucking film.
We should watch it for 2 Jews, 2 Black.
Yo, please, I just want to sit in and listen to y'all analyze Sidekicks 1. Please do that shit. But like, it was like, I thought I was like, oh, you know what? I watch Sidekicks. I see mad Bruce Lee movies. I want to do karate, become a ninja. Totally did not understand the correlation. The minute I go, like my parents like support me. My parents are always supportive and shit. So if I tell them I want to do something, we would go to the store, buy all the gear. I'm fucking geared up, feeling like Ken and Ryu and shit. The minute I got hit by one of those like bamboo sword things. Like if you watch wrestling back in the day, like ECW, the shit Sandman used to have. I got hit with one of them shits in like my Achilles. Oh yeah, fuck karate. I said I'm not doing this shit no fucking more. That's a true story too. But like, I was a kid that I would want to try shit. I would go to my parents, beg them to try it. They would let me, like, they would invest, and then if it got hard, I wouldn't do it no more. And I always,
wow, you're such a millennial.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I guess I always just looked at DJing way more subconsciously back then. That like, you know what, DJing isn't something that I can do that with. I've realized the importance very, very early of DJing to my father, that is past a job. And I always saw that with him. Like, even if I didn't necessarily know how to explain it, you know, I always saw that DJing was like his life's passion. Like DJing was something that he fell in love with. Like he loved, like DJing was a driving spirit for him to wake up every day. And, you know, DJing was what allowed him to do, you know, various different things and, you know, touch various different aspects of, you know, music culture and music, whether it's producing, whether it's, you know, publishing and like having a publishing company and stuff like that. So I think I always just subconsciously and somewhat consciously was just like, you know what, if I want to DJ, I need to make sure that this is something that I want to do. Yeah. And that's the only time I'll do it. Like my entire life, like I remember, and I also felt like I had certain, like, yeah, I always used to laugh and joke and say that music skipped me. Like, the idea of performing music skipped me because obviously my father is my father. And my little brother is an amazing rapper. Like, to the point that I didn't really realize that, because you look at your younger siblings, it's like, oh, you have younger siblings. And then, like, I heard some of his music and I was like, who the fuck is this? And he's like, you do realize this is Amir, right? And I'm like, what? Like, first of all, the whole story of my little brother, because my little brother, we have different mothers, and he used to live in LA. I found out he was on a fucking Disney show. Like, he was on the Girl Meets World, like the Boy Meets World spinoff.
Oh, just now? Like
a couple years ago. Like, he was the main black character. Like, he had Tumblr fan pages dedicated to him. Like, to the point when I found this out, like, we went to go see him. We're talking in his room. He's like, I'm like, yo, like, I knew he did acting. So I'm like, yo, how's the acting shit going? He's like, oh, you know, it's cool. I'm on a show on Disney. And I'm like, you on fucking Disney? Fucking man. Like, I'm not doing this out loud. And then he's like, yeah, man. I'm like, so what's the show? He's like, you know, something called Girl Meets World. Mind you, I fucking loved Boy Meets World. And I was like the Boy Meets World spinoff? And he's like, yeah. And he's mad. Like, if anyone knows my little brother, he's mad, like, chilling shit. So I'm like, are you serious? He goes on the computer and goes on Tumblr, and all you see is Zay Babineau Tumblr, like, tribute pages, to the point that I tweeted it out like, yo, I just found out my little brother is on Girl Meets World, and mad people I know was like, Zay Babineau's your little brother? Like, my sister loves him. And I'm just like, are you serious? But like, he's one of those people that is like,
does he take it seriously?
Absolutely. Acting, he takes acting.
No, like, I mean, like, all these like Tumblr pages, like, that's got to be like a lot for.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a very level-headed kid, and I saw that from when he was a kid. Yeah. So like, even him now, like, you know, he's 20 now. Even him now, you know, he's just like, yeah, man, you know, whatever. Like, he's definitely like the whatever kid, but like, he's an incredibly talented actor. He's an incredibly talented rapper. So for the longest time, you know, I always said music skipped me, but I found it in other ways. Like, the minute I stepped into college and I started going to like college parties, I started seeing like the idea of a host and like hosting the party, and like the DJ would play the music, but the host does his thing in keeping the energy, the crowd up. And I was like, okay, this is something I think I can do. I hosted parties since I was 18. So, you know, and hosting, I always say now, like, hosting also led me to DJing, because through hosting, I then would meet so many good DJs. Like, you know, there was this guy, DJ Omega back home in Philly. He used to DJ fight Wale and shit now. I used to host parties at Temple with him. DJ Mont was a guy in Temple I used to host parties with. You know, the guys at Lincoln who used to come up ever so often. But like, even moving forward, like, you know, we have Mech Dot, amazing DJ. Marian Spinelect, amazing DJ. Where's Nasty, amazing DJ. OG Chase B, my dog, amazing DJ. So like, hosting has always kept me in the loop of really, really dope DJs, and I think I learned a lot of that subconsciously through it. And
there's a thing where it's like, all right, you grow up with a father who does one thing, and it's like, okay, yeah, they are a roofer, and it's like, are you going to go into that same trade? You know, is it like in your blood? Is it that whole thing? Did you get that when people were like, summertime comes on, right? And they're just like, oh, where's Cory, right?
Well, y'all did it for different reasons, but y'all remember y'all looked at me in the club when
Meek's thing came on. That's different.
That's different.
Kind of, but not really. Like, it's the same association though. Like the same way you guys associated me, like, oh, this record, Philly, Cory.
Yeah.
Like anytime some sort of Jazzy Jeff or Fresh Prince shit came on, like if someone played the Fresh Prince theme song, I would just see everybody in the club's eyes just like turn and look at me.
Mm-hmm. Did you rise to that occasion? Were you like ever the guy who was like in West Philadelphia?
Yeah, I would never bandstand like that. I mean, you know, for me it was just like, all right. Like, I mean, I think because I've dealt with being the child of I guess you could say a celebrity's kid, being a celebrity's kid for so long, you know, you kind of learn how to maneuver in that. Like I kind of have grown to live with like a certain level of like PR in a sense, like, you know, because my mother intentionally very much had me like around and outside. I wasn't some rich kid.
Yeah,
I never carried myself as a rich kid. Like, yeah, I didn't have any needs, you know, when I was good. I didn't have many wants, but like, you know, I was a normal Black kid growing up in Philly. You know, it's just that like, yeah, my dad did some extraordinary shit. And, you know, if someone meets you, you know, it will always be the same thing. Like, oh yeah, his dad's Jazzy Jeff. Because I was never the type to say my dad was Jazzy Jeff. But his dad's Jazzy Jeff. Oh, I don't believe him. He's lying. Oh, wait, he's telling the truth. So is Will and Jeff still friends? Like, does he really get thrown out the house? Like, something. It would just be like all these questions. And just over the years, I've always just been used to it. So like, the do you DJ aspect or question was always something that happened. Like, why don't you DJ? Or, you know, stuff like that. I'm just like, I was like, it skipped me. I'll always just say it skipped me.
No, sure. And that provides some cover like, for yourself. Okay, so there's the one thing where it's like, there's the expectations to do it. And then there's the other side where it's like, yo, that's him. Mm-hmm. I'm my own person. And I'm going to do something like not even what you expect me to do. It's just me.
Yeah, and I definitely got that. I started getting that towards my I started getting that towards the end of my time living in Philly. You know, I mentioned my man Gianni Lee. Me and Gianni, along with two other friends, Mark and Aaron, we started a clothing line called Babylon Cartel. That was pretty much around the time I met y'all.
Yep.
And like, you know, the clothing line was very, very popular in Philly. We were starting to really make strides in like the college scene and stuff like that. And like during the creation of the blog era, like our blog was pretty popular. So we kind of, you know, I think we were very much ahead of our time in that way of like understanding marketing to our demographic. We met someone who was like a big wig at Live Nation Philly at a mentor of ours 40th birthday party. And, you know, he kind of told him, or she kind of told her, like, yeah, these kids run the shit. And they were like, oh, okay, well, let's, like, you know, come in for a meeting. We don't know what the fucking meeting is. Like, what is this? And we basically parlayed it to, like, we did a lot of marketing in, like, the early 2010s for a lot of Live Nation events. So, you know, for me, I always saw myself getting into content before I knew what content was. So, like, I always saw myself, you know, being on someone's complex, you know, being on Karma Loop TV. Like, that was like a big time goal for me, like shit like that.
Could any of this been like done in Philly, or were you like, yo, I have to go up 95?
You could, but it's to an extent. Like, I definitely felt like I reached my ceiling there because it like, kind of like foreshadowing, like for me, it was a thing where I was like, okay, don't pay me. You don't have to pay me to, you know, because I will host the concerts and stuff like that. So you don't got to pay me for this shit. Just give me 15 minutes with the artist. Let me interview them. That's it. So like, you know, I hosted the ASAP Mob's first concert in Philly, and I have a crazy, like the ASAP story I have with them is crazy.
You can tell it.
Long story short, like I hosted the concert. I worked in my day job was at the Apple Store, so I worked at the Apple Store on Walnut Street. Hosted the concert at the TLA that night. Concert was crazy. The next day I come into work, clocking in at like noon, and like Walnut Street is, especially at that time, it was a weekday. It's normally pretty quiet. You normally get like, you know, white folks, nannies, someone coming in because they don't know their Apple ID, like shit like that. in the store. And I remember walking to the front of the store and I see like a whole bunch of like black dudes wearing all black. And I'm like, the fuck is going on? And like as I walk to the front to kind of like check in, all I hear is, hey yo, I know that's not blood from yesterday. And I turn and I look and it's Rocky. So I'm like, mind you, we didn't have that much like communication, nothing in the concert. I'm like, oh shit. So my coworker who's helping him, like this coolest white guy, he has no idea. It might have been like my like 3rd week at Apple. He has no idea who Rocky is. So he's like,
he's not a genius.
He's like, he was not a genius. He was not, that's funny as shit. He was not a genius. So like, he's like, oh, like Cory, is this like your friend? So Rocky, if you know Rocky, he's like, hey, bro. He's like, this my man. You think that like, you know, he can help me out? I don't know if y'all work on commission. He's like, oh no worries. Like, Cory, help him. I'm fucking stuck. Cause I'm like, what the fuck? So like, I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, yo, Brody. He's like, what's up? He's like, yo, you working here? I was like, yeah. Like, and it's wild. Like, I helped Rock for like an hour and a half with phones. I remember we talked about mad shit. That was the first time that I met Yams. Yams kept, he was, Yams came up because anybody that came in, like, it's like each member of the mob kind of came in. So Ferg came in. And he's like, yo, this homie from yesterday. He's like, oh shit. Like, met him. And knew it happened the same way. So Yams came and he's like, yo, remember from yesterday? He was like, oh, big homie. He's like, my big man was on stage wilding. He was like, yo, I know y'all got the phones in the back. You steal them? And I'm just like, yo, that's my favorite Yams memory.
I like the idea of you like dapping up everyone as they come in, like enough to where you do the same like
like it was but you know, even like, you know, it's sad, man. Like I remember me, Rocky, and Jay Scott had a long conversation. I remember they were getting ready to go to Atlanta for the first time, and you know, they were just so excited, like, yo, it's our first time going to Twin Atlantis. I know they got all the big butt bitches down there. And they were just so, but I remember them two in particular, like, you know, even talking to Jay, you know, he was like, yo, bro, I don't think you understand. Like, we always wanted to work in the Apple store. Him and Rocky say, we always wanted to work in the Apple store. Like, and I'm like, what, dog? Why? He's like, yo, it'd be so many bitches in here. And like, I know, he's like, yo, you a jiggy nigga, so I know you be like, and I'm just like, do you want to switch? Like, yo, you could have my shift today, bro.
I go
like,
to Atlanta.
Yeah, like
the big,
you know, and it's funny because like again, all of my white coworkers have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
All my black coworkers is like, who the fuck did we just hire that he's basically chopping it up with the entire ASAP mob at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, man, you know, it's sad, you know, RIP Yams and Jay, man, like, you know, they were really great people that when you kind of came across them and stuff like that, you kind of had those interactions. But yeah, so like, I mean, that was kind of like my early career in Philly. Like, you know, I was the first person to ever interview Kendrick in Philly.
Was that for your site?
Yeah, it was all for my site. It's funny because like they did, Jack Daniels has this thing called Arts, Beats, and Lyrics. And I think they still have it. And they actually had Kendrick as one of them. I think he might have just gotten the freshman cover nod or whatever. And Schoolboy Q was his hype man. And I never forget it. Like, Kendrick had a white airbrush t-shirt on, and whatever was on the shirt was in red, like airbrush. And Schoolboy had the same joint, but it was in blue. So I remember, like, as they got popping, obviously we all know, like, you know, Schoolboy's affiliation. I never kind of forgot that, but I remember the Noisy thing came out of just like how, you know, Kendrick's not allegiance, but like, you know, all of his friends, you know, were on that side. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
How much did the HBO show How to Make It in America mean to you?
Changed my life. Changed my life and changed my life from Apple. Like, you know, Apple, I mean, I don't know if it's still like that at Apple, but, like, you know, they have break rooms and, like, they have mad entertainment. Like, we used to have, like, an Xbox down there. It's mad computers that you can just kind of, like, chill and whatever, eat lunch. And I remember
the crazy thing is they're all Dells.
Yes. They're all slow as shit. But no, man, I remember one of my coworkers was watching an episode of How to Make It in America in the break room. And I was like, yo, what's that? And he was like, oh, man, it's a show called How to Make It in America. This shit crazy. Like, you know, it's these guys in New York and they have this denim line and da-da-da. Like, yo, you really fuck with it. And I was just like, all right. And I remember I went home and, you know, it was me and my girlfriend at the time. We were living together. And I put on an episode. I binged an entire season in one night.
You saw yourself in it?
I was just like, yo, like, if not for, because I mean, for me, it struck on mad different notes. It struck on the notes of like someone who, you know, is trying to make a clothing line happen. It struck on the notes of like just the creative differences between, you know, Cam and Ben, like Cam and Ben, like just the creative, like they wanted the same goal, but like they wanted to go about things the same way. I was experiencing a lot of that within my own business. You know, just like the spontaneity of just how life works for them, whether it's different opportunities and meeting someone and taking a meeting that could potentially change your life. Like, you know, the wild shit, like socially of just like, yo, I'm at a party and like I meet this girl and like we make out, but then like she ends up like fucking a dude who's like waited it out. Like that didn't happen to me per se.
Wait,
but like
waited an hour?
No, remember, so like I think it might have been like the first episode. Like Ben had broke up with his girl. They had went to a party with the chick with the pixie hair. She was on the OC. She was actually fine. I'm not gonna lie. I remember seeing her. I was like, oh yeah, they got her in here. She fine as shit. But like Ben swore he had it in with Shorty. Mm-hmm. So like he's like, oh yeah, I'm staying here for the rest of the night. I'm good. And there was this one guy that he felt he didn't know if he was gay or straight, but he was waiting around, like kind of like, yo, we the last two dudes in here in the crib. Everybody else left. Like he's kind of hitting him with the yo fam, like it's time for you to get the fuck out of here. Like, and I think she went to go walk him out. Oh, that's a bad joint. Yeah, she went to go walk him out. And Ben is kind of sitting on the couch like, it's me, your boy. And he noticed that like she was taking mad long. And he walked to the door and like dude was like making out with Shorty like at the door. He just kind of like picked up a Jameson bottle and like walked out. But even like just spontaneous shit like that. Like I remember just watching that show and I was just like, yo, this is essentially the life that I want to live. Not losing like that. Not taking that.
No, right.
But like I'm like, yo, like this is it. And I remember that was at a point in my life where I was really just kind of like looking at myself in totality, looking at myself in Philly and where I was in Philly. You know, I had gotten to the point where, yeah, like I can basically interview any of these rising artists that I want. I had gotten to the point where, you know, I could walk into certain buildings free of charge because they knew who I was. But I was just like, I feel like I'm a big fish in my home pond.
It was easy.
And I was like, at this point, like I was a huge, I'll even say somewhat of a disciple. I was a huge Maestro Nose disciple. So like he kind of showed me what content was, like between Maestro Nose and Two Dope Boys, showed me what the blog and the internet age and internet industry was. Like those was like my Bibles in a sense. So like for him to kind of see how featuring people and interviewing people and this entire idea of what content was before content really had a name literally took him around the world. I was like, okay, that's what I want. And I don't think staying in Philly will do that.
Yeah.
So I think it put me on like a 2-year trek that basically manifested into me like, okay, I'm going to move to New York. I want to move to New York.
I remember your conversations when you were thinking about moving to New York, and you would come visit fairly regularly.
Yep.
What was it like to tell people, hey, like I'm going here, I'm leaving you all? Or did it feel at all that way?
It didn't really feel like that just because I am from Philly and Philly's 2 hours away. Right. So like when I moved
a world away though.
But a world away. When I moved up here, because it's fun.
I will say, not to cut you off, like there is a shift.
Yeah.
Because like
100%.
even like when we came, like we're originally from Westchester, and it was a big deal
for y'all to move to the big city.
Yeah. And it's only 45 minutes, and it's like, you know,
there's like you can't even like put a number on the number of like opportunities that there are here, right? And like what this 24-hour a day thing provides, and also like meeting like-minded people every
that was
night.
a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Like I've always had the idea and the mantra of just good people going to find each other. Essentially how we found each other in a sense in a stolen car.
that is a story.
That is a story.
Yeah.
That's funny as shit. That car was fucking stolen. But no, I mean, I always just had the idea of like good people find each other. And good people find each other organically. It's never an instance of, you know, what can you do for me? It's always like kind of thing like, oh, yo, you're good folks, I'm good folks. And it may actually be to a point where it's like you don't even have that conversation, not necessarily until it's too late, but you'd be like, yo, we should have been had a conversation about how like we're already good people, like or we're already good with each other. Like, how can we make money together? Type shit. But no, I mean, like, you know, Philly's only it is only 2 hours away, but it is a world away. I remember when I did move up here, I moved up here because I got a job at an advertising agency, Translation. I was a copywriter, and I moved and didn't tell anybody. Like, I remember I got my offer from Translation. I was still working at Apple, and you know, one of my really, really close friends, my frat brother, my man John Petty, JP was working at Translation. He kind of vouched for me, but he kind of also told me the real deal as to what, like, how I was getting hired. They just were deciding between me and this girl, and the girl was like, she needed 2 weeks basically to quit her job and move there. So they were only hiring me for 2 weeks. So it was kind of like, hey, we're giving you this job offer, but it's a 2-week trial. If it don't work out, tough shit, I'm sorry. Because they were only hiring me to get 2 weeks of work until this other girl they were going to hire comes into town.
But if you did a good enough job, then
I stay.
Then what happens to her?
No, she got hired too. Like, she was getting hired regardless. For me, it was just like
this just seems like a bad hiring practice. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, you know, shout out to the relation, man.
but if you do this 2-week trial, as far as I saw, you're not going to tell people that you're making this move permanently.
Right. So for me, it was kind of just like, I remember I came up here, I stayed. Shout out to my man Rory and Mike. You know, y'all know Rory. You know, good brothers of the bond, man. You know, they let me crash on their couch. They were just like, yo, come up here. I told them what it was. They was like, yo, like, of course. I was staying in Jersey City with them at the time. You know, and I remember the work they had me on at Translation in the beginning was like mad, like Bud Light shit. Like, I was working a lot of the marketing stuff for like all the like La Marita campaigns and stuff. And I was doing okay. And I remember maybe with like 3 days left in my 2 weeks, the team who was working on State Farm came to me and was like, yo, you know, do you like basketball? And I'm like, fuck, I'm a 20-something black man in America. Of course I like basketball. He's like, do you understand basketball and basketball culture? And I'm like, yeah. They was like, we need somebody to run State Farm's copywriting, but we need someone to run the digital arm of like the Cliff Paul campaign. So do you think you could be Cliff Paul? And I was like, absolutely. So I was Cliff Paul. I was Cliff Paul for about maybe like, what, 8-9 months. Like, I handle all the digital for him, all the voice, like the tone of voice, all Twitter, Instagram.
Who did you base the voice off of?
So it's funny you asked that. I wanted my main goal when running Cliff Paul was I want people to think that yes, but I still got fired. I got laid off. Like that. I mean that's the advertising game. If anybody knows it, like, you know, that's the real life wink and the gun. Hey man, you're good at your job, but you know we just hired a new creative director or 2 new creative directors, and they want to bring in their new people. So fuck you. Sorry. Right. But great work though. So I wanted, my main goal with running Cliff Paul was that I wanted people to be so confused that a corporate account was running this. That it's like, yo, he may be a real person. Like Chris Paul really may have a twin that is a State Farm agent and his assistant shit. Like, and I would go to the team with ideas of like, yo, we need to like bring in real life shit and talk about real life shit, which was always kind of difficult because like you had a content calendar, you had to get shit approved by client and so on and so forth. Like, I remember I had Cliff Paul tweet about not Blank Face. What was the Schoolboy album before Blank Face?
Tribulations?
Oxymoron.
Yeah.
I had Cliff Paul tweet about Oxymoron.
That's dope.
Like yo, this Schoolboy Q album is crazy. And I remember Cliff he Paul retweeted it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I remember Schoolboy retweeted it like, that's hard, cuz like and I remember it was such a big win for the department.
Yeah.
Cuz they were just like, oh man, like we never would have thought that. Like I remember I had to run the Cliff Paul shit during the whole Donald Sterling incident.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And that might have been like one of my first real like stand tall in what we believe type shit. Cause like me and the entire team that I was working with, you know, we were all just like, yo, we can't be mum is the word on this. Like at the time, you know, Chris Paul was NBPA president.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they were kind of banking on him to make a statement. You know, and they were just like, I remember our bosses or like our bosses was just like, yo, like we're not saying nothing. And I'm like, that'd be bad for us if we don't say anything. Like we need to say something that isn't gonna rile people up, but is something that is enough that we lean into Chris. Yeah. And you know, we were met with some initial feedback. We all thought we were gonna lose our fucking jobs.
Well,
but
did you have
then,
to run that by like?
You had to run that by everybody, like from the higher ups of our company to it's Steve Stout's agency. So through Steve, State Farm client, and if anybody works at advertising, client is like the final boss at the end of the level. Like you had to run it past everyone, and we actually like posted something that was basically like, "Yo, we stand by Chris and the rest of the players and whatever." And I think that got clippings where it's like, "Yo, this campaign is showing real life shit."
Yeah. Two things. One is that I like how you were the voice of Cliff Paul, and now today, Alfonso Rivera.
Okay, so I feel bad because I saw a screen grab of like this very badly placed wig or like something.
The bald cap.
Bro, I'm like, dog, they couldn't hook Al up with the ombre on the fade. Like,
but wasn't that the point though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I get it.
Point number 2, those Cliff Paul Jordans were not it.
Right. Okay. So let me tell you. Eric and I, they were so ugly, and Eric and I were so broke at that point.
Oh,
and Translation sent over a couple of pairs.
We
flipped
them so quick, so quick. I think
that's a banger.
I think to myself often, if I watch Full Size Run, I'm like, if we were ever on there and just like, hey, have you ever resold sneakers? I've been like, absolutely.
Trying to make rent.
I know.
What the
God,
fuck?
That's funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, no, I would never sell shoes. Fuck yes.
By the way, got like a good amount for them.
A decent amount.
Really?
Yeah, a decent amount.
Yeah, no, them shits was trash.
I think we expected more.
No, they were 200 or something.
I don't know. It was
something. It paid rent.
It paid
something.
But like
so you have these jobs as far as we've known you in advertising. You worked
editorial.
You were writing, right? As far as we knew, you were a writer.
Yep.
And then occasionally
still am.
And,
but I would love to write more. But
we would see you out there, and you'd be hosting, right?
Yep.
Like you were on the mic, and you were at all these clubs, and we would see you out, and you were part of the scene, the whole thing. I think that we were of that mindset. We were like, oh yeah, no, that's Cory's angle. Mm-hmm. He's not going to get into DJing. Mm-hmm. And then maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, you would dabble, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe? Not even. You dove right in.
Well, we saw you with like Kinfolk and stuff.
Yeah,
later.
Later. But even then, that would be hosting. Like, I started DJing, man. Honestly,
you didn't have a job at the time, right?
Yeah, no. So like for me, kind of like what you said, I bounced in between, the ad world, and I bounced in between editorial, right? And I was at an editorial job. I was working at Interactive One, and I got poached, and I went to a marketing agency.
Yep.
And the agency is ran by like a group of people, but like it's funded by like a very
some person.
big person.
Cliff Paul.
Yes, it was Cliff Paul's secret agency. But no, so I mean, it was funded and bankrolled, and it was molded in the lens of a very, very prominent person.
Yep.
And by all intents and purposes, it was a secret agency. Mum was the word. It's almost like you only know about us through word of mouth. That was that. And I mean, in hindsight, I really didn't get a fair shake there. I was only there for like 9 weeks, and it was such a big step for me. Big step in career-wise, big step in clientele, big step in my work, big step in money. Like the salary I was bringing in, I just like saved mad bread and moved into, our new crib, that I'm still in and stuff like that. So I remember my life was on a very big upswing. And then, it's kind of like, if anybody's out there has ever worked at a job where you kind of feel like you're on a mud hill, and like the harder you try to climb, it's like, bro, it's nothing you can do to stop the wave. It was pretty much like that. And, they called me one day. I remember like the week before, they pounded me with work. Like, and that's one of the things that I kind of like, I don't like about the corporate work system, in the sense of like, like they don't really owe you shit. But there's some levels of like, there should be some levels of like kind of like decency. Like I do feel like a lot of my ideas, they knew I was a very good idea person. So like thinking out of the box, tapping into, just experiences that I've had and stuff like that. even for real, like, you know, what I like to call friendship capital, like a lot of people that I would see on these decks and a lot of people that I would see as target influencers and friends of the program and all this stuff. Like, I'm like, yo, like I have the number on my phone. Like I can call them, you know what I'm saying? And not be like a huge ask. And I know that's not everything, but I think that was a very big part of what I contributed. And a lot of ideas that I gave in that last week, I saw come to like fruition. And I won't ever say it was me and just me, but I'm just like, damn, dog, I remember writing that in the deck. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, they basically told me like, yo, you know, I've been laid off before, but like, it's different to be laid off and say like, yo, you don't cut it here. And I've never heard that before. Like for me, it's kind of like, if it don't shake out, it don't shake. But like to hear like, yo, you don't cut what we're doing here. And that may have been the truth to them. I never heard that before. And I think I took that very hard. And, you know, it was at a point where I kind of felt like I had to find something new. I had to find a new job and just like looking and, you know, obviously people out there have been, you know, you've looked for jobs before. Looking for a job is a job in itself. And like that shit just stressed me out. Like it caused, you know, anxiety and just like, you know, I went through a very, very severe bout of depression. You know, and then it's kind of like I was at a point in my life where it's like I always wanted to count on that one break. Oh, just like all I need is this one chance to do this and whatever.
And then there's
whatever.
like a ground floor, and
it's like the ground floor. And it's like, I remember I was in the running for a job at a major streaming platform. I would later find out over 10,000 people applied. I made it to the last 3, and I remember I found out that I didn't get the job in an interview with another job, and my mood completely shifted. And that I don't want to do this shit no more. Like. But I remember that shit like crushed me, like to the point I was just like, bro, like, you know, I went through a very, very dark time. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, and things happen for a reason. You know, I ended up getting, you know, a job at a music distribution label based out of LA. That was good for me for about 6 months. You know, at the top of last year, I kind of saw the bullshit that they were on and the writing was on the wall, but I had been here before, so I knew how to prepare for it better. And a conversation I had with my dad in 2018 when I first told him I wanted to learn how to DJ. Like I was asking him, I was at his house, I was asking him mad questions and asking him specifically like, so what do you feel like, you know, my dad's a true OG, so I'm like, what do you feel about people who DJ on like controllers? And he's like, yo, it's cool. Like he's like, you can get a lot of shit off on that. Like, you know, obviously, you know, I prefer, you know, wax and turntables and stuff like that, but you can do it. I'm asking mad questions. He stops me. He's like, do you want to learn how to DJ? And I remember I hesitated and I was like, because a lot of me was like, yo, I want to learn how to DJ, but I want to learn on my own. Like I would practice shit with Mecca at his crib, but it wasn't consistent. Yeah. But I was like, I want to learn, but I want to like kind of pop out and be like, Dad, I look like a DJ now. Like, so I didn't almost tell him. And I was like, man, no, fuck that. Because I realized the pressure that would put on me, I would be putting on myself. So I was like, yeah, I do want to learn how to DJ. He was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And if anyone knows my dad, this is some very Jeffrey Town shit. He got up. We're in his studio at the house. He gets up. He goes into the other room. Comes back in the room with a box. And I'm like, the fuck is that? He hands me a DJ controller that he just has there. He's like, here. He's like, give me your computer. I'll put Serato on your computer right now. Serato's the major DJ software. And I was like, you serious? And he's like, yeah. And I was just like, okay. But there was no instruction. It's no like, I'm about to teach you shit. We didn't get on the tables in that moment. It was just like, here. And I had my controller for like 8 months. Or no, I had that shit in August. So from August to January, I had that shit. I remember I took it out of the box one day. It was so intimidating trying to learn all the buttons and just shit like that. I put that shit back in the box. I didn't touch it till January. And
that's that karate mentality.
I was just like, yeah, fuck that. Like fuck this. And I remember in January of last year, you know, I was calling myself, you know, trying to like take a lot more ownership of my life in the sense of like, you know, career wise. So like, you know, the job that I was working at, that label was starting to be on funny times. So I'm like, you know, I'm gonna start doing consulting. I started getting into like editorial consulting. I started getting back into writing in a sense. Like I was starting to do things to kind of bring money in. And because the company was based in LA, my emails really started kicking off around like noon our time because I was still here. So from 9 to 12, I'd be straight. You know what I'm saying? I always wake up around 7:30, 8 o'clock every day anyway. So I'd be fucking around, playing 2K, watching SportsCenter, whatever. And one of my best friends, my man Kenny St. George, Kenny is from Philly as well. And like, if you know me, a lot of my homies from Philly, and a lot of my homies are from Philly and they moved up here and they like trying to move up here. Like we all kind of had the same dream in a sense. We've all kind of like helped out and reached out to each other. And like, you know, we have a crew, it's called Homage. We always pay homage to each other. And, you know, Kenny was crashing on my couch because he's a photographer. He was really trying to break into being a photographer up here. And he was crashing on our couch at the time. So like, you know, me being unemployed, my other two roommates, Chris and Rob, would go to work and it would just be me and Kenny. And I remember one day Kenny said to me, he's like, yo, man, like, you fucking around. Like, what's up with you? And I didn't know where it came from. Like, what do you mean? He's like, dog, like, you talking all this shit about you want to be a consultant. You talking all this shit about, like, you want to do all these things. But, like, I be in here, bro, and I be watching you. Like, you wake up and, like, turn on SportsCenter and watch the same highlights every hour. Like, you play 2K. Like, what the fuck is that doing for you? Like, you say you want to learn how to DJ. Like, fuck is you doing? And it really was the kick in the ass that I needed.
Did you get defensive?
Yeah,
like how?
Well,
how did you take
initially? I mean, I was kind of just like almost on the sense of like, what stance do you have,
right,
to come at me like that? But then, as he's saying, I'm like, damn, man, you're kind of fucking right, like, you know. And it was kind of like, all right, I know it came from a place of love, and it kind of shook my shit up. It was like, all right, you know what, I do need to be more direct and intentional with my time.
Yeah,
and from that day, it might have been like maybe the second week of January. From the second week of January, at least until maybe April, till my birthday, April 11th, I practiced DJing at least an hour a day. I taught myself. Like, no YouTube videos, no asking people for lessons. Like, I was just me in my crib every day with my controller, with my music in my Serato. And like, for real, if anyone has, I guess, taught themselves how to DJ, you kind of learn how to listen to music differently. I listen to music way differently than I did before I started DJing. Because now I'm listening to music almost in like a sonic sense of like, okay, yeah, this song is this. This song is, I'm not even thinking the song is good or bad. But you know what? These keys I hear, it's in this certain key, and it's in this BPM. Damn, I think that song is the same BPM. It may be a different key. But if I can find a way to bridge these two records together, I think that's what sound like some shit. And I would do it. I'm like, oh shit. Like, and I've always, the funny thing is, you asked me earlier, like, would people be like, yo, do you DJ? It started getting to a point where I would go to parties and I would hear DJs play. And I would find myself saying, you know, if I was DJing, I would play this next. And they either probably would play it next.
Right.
Or
they would play something
else, and I'd be like, yeah, that wasn't it. That
Yeah.
wasn't it, G. Like, but like, as I started, that started happening more and more and more. And I think that got me to the point where it was like, okay, I really want to start DJing, because I want to DJ as a hobby. I want to DJ, you know, to be honest, almost like some Jinx shit.
Yeah.
Like, Jinx is good at so many things.
Yeah.
And he DJs. Like, it's kind of like a creative release for him. So I was just like, you know what, man? Like, I kind of want to get in some shit like that. Like, you know, I DJ my little Brooklyn bar every once in a while. I had no idea it would be a job for me or be a career of mine. But like, as I taught myself, I've never fallen in love with something like I fell in love with DJing. DJing became something that was my everyday moment. I wake up, minute I go to sleep, I could be, you know, doing something, hear a record, write it in my phone, like, oh, I need that. Or like, hear something, be like, yo, I think that would go into this. It turned my brain into some other shit. And then for me, it was just a thing of just like, I had it mentally. I had to find a way to do it with my hands. And it took practice. And I did that shit for like 3 months. And I remember my first gig, my homegirl Tony, she was like, yo, I'm DJing at Bevon Cocktail. And it just so happened to be on my birthday. She was like, do you want to DJ with me? And I would say, sure. But I said sure without being sure. Like, I never DJ in front of people. I might DJ in the crib, and like, you know, I would have it so that if cats is working in the crib and I'm playing music, I would do something and I would see like their heads kind of perk up, like, yo, that was kind of tight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I would see it. I wouldn't acknowledge that I saw it, but I'd be like, okay, I'm doing something all right, good. Like, shit like that. And I remember the night of my gig, I had a fucking panic attack. Like, I'm looking for the stuff. I'm looking for my controller and like all my equipment and shit. And Kenny was in there again. And like, I just remember I couldn't breathe. And I was just like, yo, fuck. I was like, Kenny, I don't know if I could do this, dog. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, bro, like, I don't know if I can do this shit, man. He's like, yo, you good? It's like DJing in the crib. Like, you'll be fine. And for that to be my first gig, it taught me a lot about DJing because, you know, at the time I was using like an adapter that I have a newer MacBook, so I was using an adapter and plugging the cords from the controller to the computer, through the adapter to the computer. Remember these two big ass Haitian dudes, man. And the only reason why I say they were Haitian is because like they spoke like
Creole,
like strict Creole. And like if you ever go to Bedvine Cocktail in Brooklyn, like it like, you know, we were playing like kind of like West Indian music. They kept asking for soca music. Like these two dudes kept they kept asking.
Was it Waz and Nod?
I think it was fucking Nod. No, they kept asking requests. And I remember that was the first time I was like, yo, fuck requests. Like, don't ask me to play shit. Like,
yeah.
Like, essentially, this place booked me for a reason. Trust me. Mm-hmm. If I get there, I'm going to get there. You're going to enjoy it. If not, fuck it. Go play that shit in your car or in your Uber on the way home.
I'm playing R. Kelly. I'm playing
Michael Jackson,
Miley Cyrus,
and fucking Katy Perry. But no, man, like I remember they bumped the console that it was resting on. And the cord for my adapter broke. This is my first gig ever. It wouldn't load up to the controller. I'm freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, yo, what the fuck am I gonna do? And I remember just feeling like a wave of like, okay, calm down. Figure this shit out. You're gonna be all right.
Yeah,
like,
you can only do what you can do.
You can only do what you're gonna do. I remember I got my homegirl's laptop. I started playing from her library. And like if you ever know a DJ's libraries are like fucking thumbprints. Like everybody has their shit organized in way different ways. Yeah. So I remember just kind of like kind of scrolling and going through the night. But like, you know, for it to be my first joint, like I think I did well.
Yeah, and you survived it.
And I survived it. Like I remember on the Uber ride home, I ordered cords that went directly from my computer to the laptop. I was like, I'm never dealing with that shit again. I ordered the cords, and I think I ordered like a DJ stand for my laptop or some shit like that.
So we've seen you perform a bunch of times. There's one time in particular when you and Jinx were performing. Not like maybe it's called back to back or whatever, but it was like back-to-back you guys were like weaving in and out, right?
Yeah, man.
And it was like something that I hadn't like experienced before, just the feeling. And I wrote you guys a text, right? And I read this when we had Jinx on in December as well. I said, guys, even though I only caught the first couple hours of yesterday's event and wish I could have stayed for the rest, what I heard you guys playing individually and in tandem was outstanding. The vibe you guys created with moods, references, tempos, and taste level were beyond dope and beyond expectation. Super excited to see this party grow and you guys take your talents to levels not yet even imagined. And
Eric, how did Cory respond?
Never responded. I
don't think I've ever got that from you though. Yo, as God is my witness.
Eric, put like a heart on it right now.
Yeah, I will right now.
Yo, please do, because I don't think I've ever
put a question mark.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
that's peak.
I sent the heart, but now fuck that. Question mark instead.
Yeah. Wait, Jinx is gonna be like,
Jinx is gonna catch it straight. Yo, it
so
literally, I never saw this.
You
I
did
get
it. You did get it.
Yo, I'm so sorry. Like, as you like.
By the way, that's the reason you're up here today.
Yeah.
Because Eric wanted
you to answer for that.
No, for sure. No, I feel like shit. Because as you was reading it, I was like, I don't remember seeing this from you.
Clark Kent responds to my text.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Enough responds to my text. Green Lantern responds to my text.
Jubilee.
So Super Sam. There's a lot of DJs. Megan Wright, sure. Yeah.
Peter Rosenberg.
Oh, well, is he a DJ?
He has DJed.
No. Cypher Sounds. There's a lot of DJs who respond. Jinx. No, Jinx never responded to that either.
Okay, I'm about to say. Don't.
But wow, man!
I just responded to the text just now, so like all this is null and void.
But I mean that, and there's something special about the vibe that you guys create, because anybody can DJ, anybody can download software, anybody can. There's software.
DJ'd.
We have DJ'd.
I need to hear you.
No, you have actually, because we did
with the
Clarence's thing, and we were because it was a Neptunes and Timbaland set, and we came up there and I played some Beanie Siegel and Timbaland shit, and you were like,
you're like, Cory
loved that. Cory walks up and he was like, that's how I know you guys are real, because you play this right here.
That was that
in the club or whatever. Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, you walked up, you're like, all right, you're good.
that's some shit. Like I don't know if they do them parties anymore. That's some shit I would want to do again and kill that.
But anybody can DJ, right? But it does take a certain vibe. And I know the term is so overused.
But I know what you mean.
But it's legit. And you have that. And that's something more than like technique and more than like all the songs in your library can provide. Yeah. You can take Katy Perry and Michael Jackson and still make it understandable.
don't put me in that box. I mean, I don't know, man. I think that so number one, I'm really, and I've realized this as I've been DJing, I'm really not good with kind of like hearing like positive praise and shit like that, and it's something I'm really like working on.
Yeah. I mean, I can give you some negative stuff.
I'll take that.
Some things to work
not on this fucking episode. I work too damn hard to get my own damn episode. Not on that shit. But no, man. Like I don't know. Like it's one of those things where it's kind of just like it's a feeling, you know. And you know, I'm very very new in this DJing shit. Like I just crossed a year of me just doing this period, and like I even still have points where I'm just like, what the fuck, like this is, I never saw this coming for me. But as far as like the vibe you're talking about, like if like there's so many things that you have to do as a DJ that I really don't think people understand. You have to pay attention to what you're doing physically. You have to pay attention to what the crowd is and how the crowd is. Man. You have to maintain a certain level of like initial, I guess in the sense of the word, integrity of like, I want to play shit that I'm playing, or I want to play the shit that I want to play. Because for me being a DJ now, I take a big part of that, of me being in New York the last 7 years and me seeing DJs rise and fall. And rise and fall in the sense of like, yo, at one point they was the hot shit, and at some point like they just like, yo, ain't nobody really checking for them no more. And I always wonder why. And I think a big part of that, especially in DJing and probably in a major market like New York, is that a lot of times when DJs come up here from other places, they come as DJs from other places. You are such and such from LA. You are such and such from Atlanta or Florida or Texas or whatever. Like you are these people. And then you come up to New York and you're the hot shit because you are that person. You still have that, like, you still have that individual sense of me. And then a lot of DJs up here kind of they fall into what the crowd wants. They fall into what, you know, like kind of like, oh, I know this is going to ring off up here, and I know this is going to do well. And I think in a sense that you kind of lose that sense of individualism that you had that really made you stood out. So for me, I remember learning that off the rip, like, okay, the shit I play, I want to play that because I enjoy playing it, but I always want to keep, it's almost like, I remember Frank Ocean when he built the room or built the staircase.
Yeah.
I always want to build my on loop, right?
Yeah. Wait, you want to build the metaphorical staircase?
I always want to build my own metaphorical staircase where it's kind of like, if there's a certain point in time where I feel like I played certain songs a lot when I'm out, or like if I get to a point where I feel like me playing this song into another song is like a quote unquote like move, like almost like a karate move or like a move in a video game, I try to switch it because I never want people to be like, oh, I know if he plays the Panties
I don't want
by Mos Def, I know he's gonna play
Black Panties by R. Kelly.
Why does my episode gotta be the R. Kelly episode, man? Like, what the fuck? The fuck, man?
Maybe that's your staircase.
No, that is so not my staircase. You don't
want to play Ferg into G-Eazy.
I mean, I could play Ferg into G-Eazy if that's some shit I never played, but I just don't want to become predictable.
I know what you're talking about.
And
they have the same beat.
Yeah, and like, so for me, it's kind of like, all right, I think my natural love of music, my natural love for music and like just the music that I've been familiar with or even have learned about, kind of helps me out a lot. Like, I like it when I'm DJing places and I'm playing a certain genre of music and like people are like, what the fuck do you know about this? Like in the last maybe like 6 months, maybe like 6 to 8 months, I've become really into like New Orleans bounce music. I've never been to New Orleans, but like I'm actually going to New Orleans for the first time in like 2 weeks.
Oh, awesome.
I've never been to New Orleans, but I always loved like anybody who watched Hip Hop Evolution, like the New Orleans shit that we did get. So I obviously had the Cash Money, the No Limits type shit. I always liked that. but learning about real bounce music, and I'm a person that I love seeing people dance and have a good time. So I love seeing women dance to bounce music. Anybody watches that, you gonna love that shit too. So I was like, oh, like this gets people going. I want to do that. So like I might go into like a 4 or 5 song bounce set, and I've had people be like, yo, like are you from New Orleans? And I'm like, nah, I'm from Philly. And that fucks people up. They're like, how the fuck do you know about this? You know what I'm saying? Like I remember a couple years ago, like being really into like and learning about grime music. And learning, like obviously, like you had like the Stormzy's and the Skeptas and stuff like that. But like, you had, like I remember the group like the Section Boys.
Mm-hmm.
You had Section Boys. I think I know that's not their name this but I remember like, yo, this shit was hard, dog. Like, and especially, obviously with all things cultural, things always kind of come back around, whether it's a long loop or a short loop. Like now that New York drill is a thing, I could drop some Section Boy shit right now that will ring. No one will know what the fuck it is. But who got the keys to my bimmer? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's shit like that. And like, yo, like even touching on that, like I've been blessed to be able to maybe not necessarily go out of the country a lot, but know different people from like other places. So I got folks, you guys know Q from Toronto. Like Q's my guy.
Shout out
you know
to
what I'm
Q.
saying? Like I have my homegirl, like, and I'm so proud of like her growth over the last couple of years. Like my homegirl Tiffany Calver out London. Like Tiff is like that's my Cory. Like that's my dog. Like, but like even just stuff like that. And it's less about like knowing popping people because they're popping. It's like I know good people because they're good people. You know what I'm saying? And like we're good. Almost to the point where I'm like, I don't even want to ask for some career. I don't even want to put that into our relationship because we're just that. But it's like I know if that does happen, like it's never a hard ask because we're good people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But even having those like ties to different places and stuff like that, it kind of keeps your doors open for like what's new. Like, I went to Nigeria in December, and that might have been one of my biggest like accomplishments in DJing because my man Uzo, Uzo's somebody that I met through some of my other friends like Chris and them, and we became really, really close over the last like maybe like 2.5 years. And Uzo's from Philly, but I think his dad is Nigerian, and he like over the last couple of years he's really gotten familiar with the Nigerian side of his family, and he would go to Nigeria and like come back and just be like, yo, Nigeria is it. Like almost like how Cameron was like, DC Mitch, DC. Like he's like, yo, Nigeria is it. Lagos is it. Like the whole 9. And then in 2018, Uzo and Chris both went to Nigeria. And like, I remember the night they landed, I was in New York. I was either up really early or I was up mad late. And they sent a picture to my phone of them in Nigeria with do-rags on and a mitt, like when I say a mitt, like a big ass stack of Nigerian naira, like their money, like almost doing the money phone, mood, like this is where we at. And from that moment, I was like, yo, I'm going to fucking Nigeria next year.
And you did.
And I did. And like, it's wild how kind of the story goes because when I taught myself how to DJ, I knew, not necessarily the easiest way, when I taught myself how to DJ, I wanted to learn knowing the music that I knew the best. And the music that I know the best is all of the shit from the Neptunes. Like, the Neptunes is the shit that I know the best from even going back to, how I first found out about the Neptunes. Like, my stepdad used to manage Philly's Most Wanted, and I had boxes of Philly Most Wanted debut album in my crib, and I was like, who the fuck did all these beats? And then I come to find out they did the beat for Super Thug and like all this other shit. I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? And that's how I first found out about Pharrell and Chad. Like, fast forward that to
him shouting you out. Oh
like fast forward that to like me and my man Niles from the IE out west. We met online. Us talking about our love for the Neptunes basically created this Neptunes discography of like 1,000+ songs of spanning their entire like shit. We've done a couple different iterations of that. That was kind of big for me to, actually Pharrell reaching out to me and being like, yo, come to Complex Con. I want to meet you. And like the whole like him shouting me out shit, like that was just, that whole section of my life of just dealing with the Neptunes have been very influential.
Shout out to Scott Venner.
Shout out, oh man. Yeah, man, Cory Townes might need a lawyer. That's always gonna be funny to me. But no, like, so like, you know, I taught myself how to DJ using Neptunes music because it was I knew the beats, I knew when the hooks come in, I knew when the verses come in on mad shit. So like my first ever mix was a Neptunes mix, and like I remember that's kind of how I introduced myself to the world of like, yo, I'm learning how to DJ. This is my first, you know, thing. Check it out. And like people fucked with it. You know what I'm saying? Like shout out to Family, man. Family's one of my favorite rappers of all time. Yeah. And getting a cosign from Family about that mix was one of the highest shits that I could ever have. Mm-hmm. But like the second genre of music that I really taught myself how to DJ was Afrobeat. So what I realized is that Afrobeat got popping in the States. We always heard the same like 3 records. Mm-hmm. It was always like Fall. What was like DeVito's Fall, My Money Fall on You, Joanna, Drogba, and like something else. That's all the DJs up here would play.
Right.
That's it. And I just remember being like, bro, like that's mad lazy. Like it's lazy as shit. Like I know it's other shit out here. Like this is kind of before we started to see the rise of Burna. And like, you know, like Wizkid was popping, but only if you really were in that Afrobeat section, and like all these other artists. And I remember through Uzo, you know, he would tell me like, yo, this shit is hot. This shit popping. This is popping. And I remember, I think like my second or third mix I did was like mostly like an all Afrobeats mix. And, you know, it's funny, you know, Uzo showed me a video that he took of me making that mix. And it was in like April of last year. And he just kept saying like, yo, watch when my boy goes to DJ in Nigeria, man. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be crazy. Da, 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 da. And then I ended up getting a DJ gig in Nigeria when I went out there. And like, it was like Nigeria changed my life in a sense. Like it was a trip that, you know, I came back a different person, you know, just to be able to, you know, I'm a kid from Southwest, and, you know, even with all of everything that I have, you know, going on and like my family and stuff like that, I'm still a kid from Southwest. And I was like, yo, I'm really in Nigeria. Like I'm really in Lagos. Like we really out here in the KKs and like eating the suya and shit. Like this shit is crazy. And I remember, shout out to my boys from PVO, you know, Positive Vibes Only, you know, they did the party out there and stuff. And they, you know, my man Nas was very heavy, like, yo, like, bro, like, if you want to DJ in Nigeria, I can get you to DJ in Nigeria. And I remember I was setting up, it was at this beach, like this like rooftop beach party type thing. And you kind of saw into the ocean. I think it was the ocean. I'm pretty sure it was the ocean. You kind of saw into the ocean. I don't know the body of water that was. Yeah. We was on the beach. And
you know the vibes.
Set, you know the vibes.
Positive vibes only.
It's positive vibes only. But I remember like, yo, like just looking over like the party, and we're outside and it's all white, and I see all these people and I'm setting up, and I was just like, dog, like I just started DJing in January, and in December I'm DJing in Nigeria. Like this is some wild shit. And I mean, if not for nothing else, man, it just showed me like, you know, just with life, you know, we go through the motions of like trying to figure out what we've been taught and instructed of like doing what we got to do to survive, doing what we got to do to put, you know, food on our table and a roof over our heads. And like, you know, that can mean a whole bunch of things that we think we like to do. You know, I'm pretty sure you guys had like different jobs and shit that you guys were like, oh yeah, this is it. I like doing this. This is it. When in all actuality, like when you find something that you love to do, you realize you ain't like that shit. I still get job postings and stuff for like social media manager and assistant editor and like stuff like that. And I love writing. Like I love writing. Like I love writing almost as much as I love DJing. But like I look back at that shit and I'm like, bro, like that shit really didn't make me happy. Like I was just good at it. I was good at managing social media accounts for brands and shit like that. I don't like this shit. But it really just showed me like, yo, like when you find something that you love to do, like, you know. Yeah. And that's the shit that wakes you up in the morning. Like that's this thing that gets you going. Like, you know, and you'll be willing to go through some like struggles initially. You know, because it's like, yo, like, you know what, I might be struggling for right now, but at least I have control over what I want to do and how I want to live. And, you know, the good times are going to come. And like, you know, I'm blessed, man. You know, 2020 has started out, you know, obviously very rocky and weird for all of us. Yep. But, you know, I mean, I have a lot of good things, I think, coming for 2020, and I'm excited to see where it goes and shit. And
yeah, it's been pretty incredible to see, you know, and we've been with you for a lot of that, you know, like whether it was you and Jeff in a stolen car in Philly,
bro.
or whether it was like all of us in a section that we were not supposed to be in at the 40/40
okay,
club.
no, we have to tell that story.
Or if it was like, you know, like through the good times and the bad, you know, just texting or seeing you out and everything. And I think you've lived quite a journey to this point, and we're excited for what's on the way.
All the invites.
And you know what? Shout out to the Invite Boys.
Invite Boys.
And
Invite
you know what?
Boys.
You know, you may not have stepped into your dad's shoes per se, but you've definitely stepped into those Chris Paul Jordans. You know what I'm saying? Yo, thanks so much, Cory.
Yo, thank y'all, man. Yeah, man, I do remember. I remember when y'all called me. You know what? I remember when I tweeted out when that Meek Drake shit was happening. I was like, yo, it's not enough Philly representation on this blog shit, dog.
Yeah.
Like,
I need to be on podcast.
We need a Philly. We need some Philly talk on this whole thing, man. I need that. And y'all called me. And I remember being like, the wild thing is that I was hyped to see you on APOC. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. Like, I remember y'all putting me up. You know, you put me on Bridget, shout with Bridget, and like, I remember like I had homies back home. Like, that's the barometer of shit. When your homies back home are like, oh, you did such and such. Like, I had homies call me, like, you was on Itsthereal? And I was like, yeah, I was on Itsthereal. I sure was on that shit. Because that's popping. And I remember just being like, damn, I kind of wish I had like a real. I like the fact that I was in the shirt. I was in the shirts. I was in the collages and shit. I had to make sure I found myself. I was like, oh shit, that's me. Yeah. But no, man, you know, thank you guys. Like, you guys, like you said, like, even just through good times, bad, balanced, like, you guys have always just been a great voice as a duo, but great voices individually of just, you know, just like, you know, finding the balance, you know what I'm saying, keeping afloat and stuff like that. And you know, I genuinely believe, like I said, I believe in the idea, like, we're kind of find good people. Even us kind of meeting that day, like, I remember,
even us. I know, yeah.
People find good people, but also
no, not like that. I'm saying, like, even.
Yo, thanks, Cory.
Thank y'all, man. Love y'all.